is maybe now the time in the US with this current administration to try once again to have a big push for some sort of socialized medicine. I felt like 2016 and 2020 with the Bernie Sanders campaign was the first time in a long time that I heard people really talk about socialized medicine in the United States, and then it just kind of goes away after the election of Joe Biden. Do you think we'll get a return to that kind of rhetoric?
I'm hopeful that just like we're talking about the NHS and
Mhm.
how it came out of this really dark period in British history, I noticed that a lot of the policies that I looked at came from really dark periods in these countries' histories. It's almost as if that's the moment in which people think, okay, we can't stay in this sort of pit of despair, in this darkness. We need to find a way out and find a way never to fall back in. And the NHS, like you said, is really beloved in the UK, and people really do fight for it. I mean, they complain about it because what I always say to them is like, you can because it's yours. I don't thinking of hospitals in the US or like healthcare systems or health insurance systems like that. None of them belong to me as a citizen of the US. But the NHS belongs to the British people, and they're really proud of it. And I think that we're at a time in which like Medicare for all, okay, it's not the same thing as the NHS, right?
Yeah.
Medicare for all would just be single payer, but I say just that would be a huge improvement on the system
Mhm.
that we have right now in the States. And I think you're right that when we have Democratic presidents in charge, there's this kind of slackening of movements. There's less, people are less interested possibly in fighting so hard. It can be tiring, I get it. But yeah, I am kind of hopeful that in this what already feels like a pretty dark period, people will start to get reinvigorated and start to really clarify what kind of country we want to fight for, not just in the next 4 years, but for the foreseeable future.
Do you think we've lost a certain vision of the future in the just in time moment that we live in now, right? Everything we can get whenever we want it, because we want it. Um, Even here in Mexico, I can get an Amazon package, delivered to me tomorrow. Um, have we lost sight of what a good future looks like to some degree?
If we could have the same access to things like high quality affordable housing and high quality healthcare, I'd say that maybe that was the case. But just if you can get an Amazon package, but you can't get a doctor's appointment, you can't afford one. I mean, or you can't stay housed. I'm from Los Angeles, or my family's in Los Angeles, and homelessness is a terrible
Massive.
issue there. And so I'm a generally hopeful person, as you can probably tell.
Mhm.
And I wrote a book about hope starting in a difficult time. I started writing the proposal for it in 2020 as the pandemic was starting. I I had been in, and this is sort of the professional aspect of things. I had been in progressive media for about 10 years at that point, and I was pretty hopeless. You're talking about kind of doom and gloom. I've
Mhm.
definitely felt that. I definitely still feel that, and I just really wanted to look at things that were working, because I do think that we can get stuck on the things that didn't work, the losses we've had. And oftentimes I was sort of sitting there writing stories for this progressive website that I used to work for, Truthdig, and just feeling like, okay, but this is not an intractable issue. It's a solved issue where I live. I
Mhm.
lived in Portugal for a while, and drug decriminalization and their entire sort of radical drug program has completely changed the way that they address addiction and other issues related to addiction. And I would look at, or write about home, and it just seemed like the polar opposite for no good reason.
Yeah, you could have also called the book "No Good Reason," right? The angry title would have been "No Good Reason" because it feels like